Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, music, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. It's a lifestyle. We are The Culture.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Culture. I'm your host, Jessica Garrett-Mockins. Thank you for joining for this nightly version of The Culture, and it's entitled My Two Cents. We'll go over several topics that are trending right now and gather the views of our panelists. We have quite an array of views, and I'm certain that you're going to love to hear exactly what each of our panelists has to say. One panelist just wants you to know that he's not on task, and that's Miles Battle, because he has just completely adjusted the camera after we started recording. So let's just go straight to Miles. Miles, Will and Jada, Red Table Talk. What are your thoughts?
You know, Ms. Modkins, when it comes to the issues of the heart and when it comes to marriage, I'm a person that just believes that it's my duty to mind my own business and to live and let live. So
Okay.
if in fact Will gave Jada the consent to have an entanglement, who am I to judge, ma'am? Who am I to judge?
Okay. All right. Well, I know that the internet has spoken, and I'm looking for somebody else to give us their 2 cents. Brandy, what are you thinking?
Okay, my 2 cents are that not that he gave them permission. I think that it is what everybody thought all along in their relationship. Maybe they knew, maybe they have an open relationship, but Jada only had to go on there and take herself to the red table to save face for her husband, Will Smith. I'm pretty sure Will Smith has been taking Jada through hell her entire marriage to him.
You know that, Brandy.
No. Listen. This is the thing. Women always have to come up and put our business out there because to save the man because men can't handle it.
Darius has to say. Let's hear what Darius is saying.
First
Darius?
of all, she didn't have to.
That's what I'm talking about.
You're
That's what I'm
saying
talking about.
he had
Let
to.
it ride.
He didn't have to do that. That's her business, right? That's their family business. We wouldn't have known anything about that.
He asked her to do it.
He didn't. How do you know?
He didn't ask her to do that.
He didn't ask her to do that. He didn't ask her to do that. She wanted to do that because the simple fact is, when you're in a situation when you're doing something wrong, you want someone else's opinion, right? Right? Because you want somebody to be on your side. So she already knew right then she can't talk about it with Will by herself. So putting it out in the public and getting everybody's opinion, so especially someone like you, Brandy, where she could say, see, Brandy agrees with me.
No, I think that it's the opposite. I think that she knew that she was gonna get it. I'm the minority. I know this. I'm definitely the minority. And it started from a man. It started from August running his mouth because men don't know how to not run their mouths.
No,
they did not have to address it at all.
My 2 cents.
Where's the hostility?
I feel like wait, but I feel like August.
William has to say.
August, yes, okay. He did run his mouth, but I think August is low key the victim here. Actually, in the whole thing, the grand scheme of it.
Yeah.
Because Jada was hurt from their marriage and linked or clinged on to August, and August actually developed feelings out of the whole thing. So when she was done with him, she kind of like dropped
him out to the trash.
Yeah, and so.
But listen, hold
on. Hold on, dog. Hold on, team.
Wait. Let me just add to something else that William is saying here. Oh boy was her son's friend.
Yeah.
Okay, number one. Number two, they already said that he was mentally ill. Number three, he was physically ill. Now, if Jada was a man, August was a woman, and this man separated from his wife and decided to date his daughter's best friend who was mentally unstable.
Yeah.
There goes space right there.
Yep, happens all the time. Happens all the time. Yep.
It doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean it's okay, Brandy.
That's very true. But
I'm coming from.
Jada also admitted that she.
But Jada was dead wrong.
She was.
She was.
Yeah.
Listen,
So Jada
you
was
break
dating
it down, but
Trump.
Jada also admitted that she's hurting inside as well too. She said that she has these issues that lots of women have. They're trying to solve and fix people.
Right,
People hurt people.
It's true. But it's true.
Don't bring somebody else into your drama. Don't bring somebody else into your drama, Jada.
That's facts.
But I don't think that was her intention.
Well,
Yeah, that wasn't her.
I don't think that was her intention.
Okay,
Jenny.
And I think
Can I get my 2
don't have
cents?
feelings for that man as well.
Can I get my 2 cents?
On this with who is that kept saying, "Can I get my 2 cents?"
Michael.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Latif
Okay.
had something to say.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was
Okay, go ahead,
Michael saying
Latif.
it. Okay.
No, go ahead, Michael, and I'll finish up after you.
Okay.
Mine gonna be controversial, so go ahead. There's 2 things. The first brother that spoke, I believe Miles.
Yes,
Was it Miles?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I concur with him. I think it's nobody's business, and I was fascinated initially as to how many people are fascinated by this until I got more details. After I got more details, I'm on the side with Jessica because I think it was Puffy that was dating or was rumored to have been dating one of his children's friends, and that was Tacky.
Ex-girlfriend at that. Actually.
Ex-girlfriend. So I do think that what Jessica said once I got more details about the young brother had a lot of trouble, and he went to that family for help, and then she started touching on him. That's not cool.
Let's
She started touching on him. That's not cool.
Don't touch my privacy.
Absolutely.
Right.
I don't like it.
If the roles were reversed, my 2 cents real quick.
Okay.
My 2
Speaking
cents
of
is
touching on, we're gonna switch the conversation.
Oh,
And we're gonna
Latif was about to drop the ball.
Latif was about to say.
Latif has a lot of opinions, and we got a lot of topics.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Go ahead, Jessica.
what is
She always
going
do this to
on
me. She always do this to me.
this menage a trois that we have between Florida, Georgia, and New York. We got representation from each state on here, and quite frankly, it's very disturbing things. Like I heard about Governor Kemp, who has filed charges in court against Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms in Atlanta and the council in regards to them mandating that everyone in that city wears a mask. And I believe he said that it was some type of political agenda behind it. Dwight, what were the terms that he actually used to justify his lawsuit, which makes absolutely no sense?
So Governor Kemp basically put out there that mandates weren't enforceable. So because mandates aren't enforceable, that there shouldn't be any mandates. And so he took his authority as governor and told 15 different municipalities, including the city of Atlanta, that they could not issue a mask mandate. But that's like, it's idiotic. The principle of it is idiotic because there are mandates on wearing pants and shirts. And yes, although, quote unquote, those aren't enforceable, you don't see people walking around, going into stores with no pants on, talking about, these are my rights. Respect my rights. Right? So he basically tried the black woman, in my humble opinion.
Right.
And so,
I hope she
Mayor Keisha, I think it was really him hating on Mayor Keisha because she's on the short list to be vice president. And him trying to really just undermine what she's trying to do and the prominence that she has as the mayor of Atlanta.
Right, because she wasn't the only person in the state of Georgia that said that. He didn't file a lawsuit against any of the other mayors.
The mayor of Savannah, he didn't, right?
Right.
Wow, I didn't know that part.
But it was several other, 17? She was
it was 15. So Macon, Savannah,
absolutely,
East Point, all these other cities, the city of Decatur, all of them had mask mandates. He only went after Mayor Keisha Lance.
Right, oh, that's crazy. That shouldn't even ride.
I think one of the craziest things I heard him say when he was discussing the lawsuit was that his rationale for doing it was to open business. But all of the major businesses in Atlanta, Delta, all the major department stores have mandates to wear masks. So it didn't make sense to me.
Listen,
Yeah.
when Waffle House says wear a mask, you know you need to wear a mask, and that's that's the thing.
Out of all places,
bruh. When Walmart says you got to wear a mask, I mean, and Walmart is the epicenter of ridiculousness.
Don't use the word
as far as Florida is concerned, I mean, our state has constantly shown themselves to be the idiotic of the union. And if you think that this is something, just wait until November. Just wait until November when we have the election, and you're really going to see the buffoonery that goes on in Florida. Now, as far as the mask and the mandates and stuff, when people tend to talk about those things and they say it's an infringement upon my freedom, I always pose a question to them, and I say, so you drove here, right? And be like, yeah. So did you stop at that red light? Yeah, I stopped at the red light. Why you stop at the red light? Screw the red light. That's your freedom. Run that son of a bitch.
Right.
I mean, did you stop at the stop sign? Why?
Yeah.
Oh no! How about did you have a driver's license in your wallet?
Right. Did you have a driver's license? The speed limit in your neighborhood is 25, 30. Screw that. Put it to the metal, dog. Put it to the metal. Do donuts. Why you? That's your freedom. Do it.
People like to pick and choose the mandates they're gonna follow depending on how comfortable they are, and that's not right.
Smoking in restaurants. The reason for these things is strictly for safety, because we're too stupid. We're too stupid to try and impose our own safety issues. So these safety issues get put in place, and so therefore you're like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I should put on my seatbelt. Maybe I should stop at this stop sign. Maybe I should do this, because y'all too stupid to do anything else. And I'm not saying y'all here. I'm talking about the mother folk.
Nah, but you know what? It's tough to when you talk about mandates of masks, right? Because when you look at the way the media puts it out there, think about how they put out how when they tell like different counties, or states, there's a mandate on masks. Now I'll give you a prime example. I took my son to the hospital just to get some lab work done, his normal routines, a teenager. We went there with cloth masks on. The first thing they did when we got there, she said, look, we don't allow you in here with these type of masks. This is the hospital. So I said, okay. I said, well, he has an appointment. We had to do some lab work. She said, we're going to give you a mask, a filtered mask. So now the way the media is putting it out there, you got some in the media, some media outlets are saying, well, these people don't want to wear a mask, so they're trying to make you wear a mask. You got other media outlets saying, that, they don't want you to wear a mask because they want you to get sick. But I think they need to define what type of mask you need to wear, because just telling someone to wear a mask doesn't really make sense to me, especially when I went to the hospital.
Can I respond to that, Darius?
Hands off. Yeah, go ahead.
I disagree with that point, but go ahead, Mike.
Well, yeah, so I think the major problem that Darius is hitting on, and I think that all of America is experiencing is, and it's not just the media that are giving different reports, it's that in different jurisdictions, there are different leaders that have different mandates, depending on your geography. Right. From the beginning of this, we've had no national mandate. There's no leadership from the top. And I think that's what's caused a lot of confusion. Because at the beginning, if you remember on the mask issue, Dr. Fauci, there was a shortage of masks.
Yeah. Yep.
There was a shortage of the mask that they were requiring you to have when you entered the hospital there. I remember that vividly here in New York, because the mandate was don't go out and buy a N95 mask, because those are needed for first responders. Right. It wasn't that those weren't more effective. They were encouraging people at that point not to use the resources that we didn't have here in America.
Dwight, why did you disagree, or what were your?
I was just saying that the initial thought behind masks or face coverings in general, whether they were bandanas or what have you, just some sort of face covering, was because of projectile. You know, the ability to cough, sneeze, etc., and your ability as a person to stop that with a mask from hitting other people. So it was really just a respect factor. To the point around hospitals, I get it. I mean, hospitals have sick people there, right? So if you're coming in to get a COVID test and showing symptoms and you're not wearing the protective gear that they're wearing, you're inadvertently exposing already sick people to that. So hospitals, like stores or anything else, have a right to make their decision on the mask that you choose. But to Michael's point, that's the whole point, was that the whole point around N95 versus anything else. Yes, N95 are the ones that medical and EMTs and doctors wear, which are the highest level of prevention. But when a mask mandate goes out, the idea that people get irrational or sit there and say that I don't need this mask or I'm not doing it, like, it's not about you, right? It's bigger than you. It's about the community, and it's not an imposition. That's the thing that makes me so frustrated is, yes, if you're going to a restaurant, yes, you can't eat with the mask on. Everybody gets that. So yeah, you take the mask off when you eat, but put the mask back on when you're leaving. Like, it's not, I don't see it as a big of a deal as they are, but also to Michael's point, you're right. There was no national leadership. Trump just put on a mask for the first time a couple of days ago after all these months out in public. So therein lies the problem, is that a guy named Barack Obama would have had a fly mask and everybody would have had mask envy.
Right.
So we would have all been wearing masks, right? Like, it would have been Gucci, Louis Vuitton. We would have been masking it up because he's a trendsetter. The fool in the White House now, he's just, you know, he's special. He's special. He's poor little Tink Tink. He's special.
Hey man, don't be disrespecting fools like that.
About November, and Kanye West threw his name in, and also it came out that Caitlyn Jenner is looking to be his running mate.
Wow. Just makes everything a lot better, doesn't it?
Big distraction.
2020 just full of surprises.
I thought he had dropped out of the race. That wasn't true.
He's just trying to stay relevant. He knows how to.
His wife done did more for black people than him. That maybe she should run.
What'd you say, Miles?
I said Kim has done more for black people as far as especially fighting in the arena of social justice and criminal justice reform, as far as getting some people pardoned and getting their sentences reduced and getting them released from jail. So she's actually been on the front lines fighting for the cause more than he has. So
let's be clear. Ray J was the one who really elevated
Ray J was the one to put her on the map, dog.
Ray J, there be no Kim Kardashian. You know what I'm saying?
It was Ray J and Cameron.
What is happening?
Ray J and Kim helped.
Ray J, what?
They helped start the culture.
No Kim Kardashian.
There would not be a Kim Kardashian.
Exactly. The one for Ray J.
Shout out to Brandy's brother. You know what I'm saying?
That's
not
right.
the Brandy here.
Right.
Shout
out to Brandy. So technically, he can't even really run. He's not really eligible. So.
That's funny. Miles, you had a great op-ed that came out today that talked about the history of protesting and how that has had great significance on many people, like the Alabama boycott, and how it affected change immediately after the protest. So touch on what it was that you wanted everybody to understand, that it's not just about the protest.
Well, I think that the point I was definitely trying to make in the op-ed was simply that protesting is not enough, and that after we've laid the groundwork of marching and sitting in and protesting and our voices being heard on that particular platform, that there's more work to be done. Mainly, first and foremost, getting out and vote, because at the end of the day, if you march and you protest and then you fail to exercise your political power in voting, then to me, you've made your protest, your marching, your sitting in, your civil disobedience, you've made all of that null and void if you decide not to vote, in my opinion. So that's A. Secondly, and you have touched on this in various Facebook posts, Ms. Markins, that we have to realize and understand our economic power when it comes to supporting or not supporting various companies that continue to perpetuate rhetoric. And the fact of the matter is, not only does your vote count, but your money counts as well. So when you hit somebody in the pocket, and we as a people, Black people are the #1 consumers in America, but yet we don't own anything. So when you hit people in the pocket and you threaten their livelihood, you have their undivided attention. So in addition to the civil disobedience, in addition to the protest, in addition to the marching, we got to vote, and we have to exercise our economic power and letting companies know that we're not going to stand for you perpetuating any more foolishness against people of color. And we're going to pull our economic support. And when we do that, then we will start to see effective change that will emanate throughout the country for the treatment of Black and brown people, period.
Miles, I want to add to that something else historical that actually occurred here in Miami, where in 1990, Mandela was making a global tour. And
right, absolutely. I remember that.
Yes. And then you had current Miami Mayor Xavier Suarez, a number of other politicians. He was scheduled to come here, and due to political pressure, then Mayor Xavier Suarez decided not to give Mandela the key
to the city, yeah.
Which led to a quiet, organized protest.
Yes.
Led by a number of different lawyers, and it actually
5 years.
It actually went on for 1,000 days. It affected the Miami tourism industry, upwards of $100 million in revenues that were lost because of that quiet Black protest. I want to bring in Dwight on this to kind of give us a little bit more of what that actually would mean if something similar to that were to be created in this environment that we're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, to Miles's point, the spending power of Black people, actually, the spending power of just Black people in America would, in essence, make us the 6th wealthiest country in the world if we consolidated that spending power. But to your point, we don't have that level of ownership. But going back to Jessica's point around the boycott that happened in 1990, talking about we were able to stop the NFL from bringing a Super Bowl here during that time period. We stopped the NCAA from bringing tournaments here. Like that kind of, that attitude and bravado by Black people in 1990 was spearheaded by H.T. Smith and others, really showed a unified power of us to do that. I think the difference now is you're lacking that unifying component. The fact of the matter is you have people of all walks of life, having their different attitudes and platforms that would really undermine our ability to move a true economic threat like that. And I hate to be, I would love it to be a case, but you have just too many spooks who sat by the door, too many Uncle Toms and Thomasinas out here in the space that would not allow for us to really put our foot on the necks of the economy of Florida in order to make that happen. But we have the capacity and means to do it.
I don't feel like enough people are talking about this, because a lot of the people that are upset about the situation right now were born in the 90s. and they may not be aware of this. I think it's something that may need to be spoken about to everyone. And like what Dwight was saying, like, I don't know, we would have to get whoever the people are that want to lead in Miami or whatever within the country to get on the same page.
Now, my
that's
2 cents.
one common thing
about that either.
I mean, it's been done before, and so it can be done again. Currently, it has happened up in Temple Hills, Maryland. If you Google a fish market, there was a fish market in Temple Hills, Maryland, where a gentleman had on, I think, a Black Lives Matter or 846 shirt. He walked in, and the owner would not let him in, and he blew it up on social media. Nobody went there. They had to shut down, and they're currently losing money. A couple of Black investors came together and said that we'll purchase it, but I haven't followed up with it to figure out exactly what has happened with it. That's just one aspect of our financial power that we have here in America. The second one is to go beyond the protest. Me personally, I sent out a letter or an email to the major of the police department in Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, and Pine Crest, stating that I wanted to sit down, me personally, as a dialogue, as a citizen, to have a dialogue to try and bridge that, to build a bridge between the Black community and law enforcement, and to try and alleviate some of the problems in which we're having and the trust issues that we're having from the Black community to the law enforcement community, and vice versa from the law enforcement community back to us, so that we can begin to have a conversation and to possibly get to a nationally mandated pullover technique. You know, when you get pulled over, so you pull over, roll down all your windows, turn off the car, have your license registration ready, hands on the wheel. And so when he walks up, he sees that, or the officer sees that, and they like, oh, okay, so they're doing that. So next thing that they're looking for me to do is say license registration. Right. Then they give it to them. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing that they're expecting me to do as an officer, or the next question he's going to say is, why did you pull me over? And he's expecting me to say, oh, well, you did a roll and stop back there, or you ran the red light, or you did such and such. Man, my bad. No problem. Cool. And so I ended up having a conversation with the Cutler Bay representative and what have you, and talk with him about the whole deal. And so I'm waiting to talk with the others, but that is just one aspect that I'm doing beyond the protest, to try and take it beyond that.
I mean,
can I ask you a question?
Go stop Latif.
Yay. Dwight was shaking his head, Jay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dwight, please go ahead.
Well, hold on. My man had a question.
Yeah, Mike had a point.
So, and my question, especially to Floridians, not just you specifically as an officer, but what do you think about, or what's the talk about?
A captain. He's a captain.
A captain.
Yeah.
Even more importantly, my question is
a pilot.
What is
right? Because there could
let the man
he's
ask
captain. I'm like,
he's a pilot.
Let the man.
He's not in law enforcement.
Like 5 times.
I'm the captain now. I'm the captain now.
Your brother is silly.
I'm the captain now.
Good. Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead, Mike.
Finish your thought.
So my question in regards to the next election, and we touched on, vice presidential candidates. What's the talk about Val Deming in Florida as a vice presidential candidate, being that, policing is a major topic of this upcoming election? What's the sense or the atmosphere?
Let's toss that over to our Senator Dwight.
Person who knows Val Deming.
Then I'm gonna switch gears to something else. Senator Bullitt, your response to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate what Latif's trying to do. I mean, I don't want to thwart any efforts to try and solve the crisis between the Black community and law enforcement, but the way systemic racism works is that like, even if there was a uniform policy on stops, you would still see, the problem is you would still see a significant number of Black people getting pulled over versus white people, right? Because that's already happening, right? Like you're seeing a disproportionate number of Black people, whether the excuse is tinted windows or car too low, like they'll make up and perpetuate an excuse to pull over Black folks. So you're still going to see the same problem. Like, you know, Latif's example is, that's the exact thing that was done with Philando Castile, right? Windows down, he acknowledged that I have a firearm on me. He said, can I reach? No, he's asking the officer permission, can I do these things? Officer still shot Philando Castile in cold blood in the car, following all those guidelines. And so
in front of his girlfriend and his child.
Right. What concerns me about that is that we're still not getting at the root cause as to why Black people are over-policed by police. Like, why we are treated and subjugated to certain conditions and circumstances, no matter what our situation is. In the case of Philando Castile, she still had the wherewithal to call the man sir after he shot her baby's father, right? Like, so we're out here being respectful all the time and still getting our asses handed to us. But to Michael's point.
Oh, I'm never respectful.
No, to my
I don't know about respectful.
Do you think Val Deming can help in this? What's the sense on her? What's the talk about?
The short answer is that's what people would think or hope just by optics. But the problem with former Chief Demings or Congresswoman Demings was, during her tenure as chief of Orlando Police, Orlando was recognized as one of the most brutal police departments in the nation.
Gotcha.
Right? And that's a story that has yet to be told. But trust me, the Republicans will tell it if she is chosen as the VP nominee. In my humble opinion, if you're going to choose a Black woman at this moment, you want to choose a Black woman who's not tied to prosecutorial records or law enforcement if you want to move Black people in this moment. And there's too many great people out there. Keisha Lance Bottom, Stacey Abrams, Karen Bass, and the like, that you could choose from, but Joe Biden's a whole topic for another conversation. I'm sure.
Who do you like? Who do you like?
Another conversation. Conversation. We're gonna run out of time, but I do want to touch on this very important topic: mental health. Roy did a show with Kevin Berthia, who was a failed suicide attempt. Now he's an advocate. We just got news out that allegedly Tamar Braxton attempted to commit suicide in Los Angeles last night, was discovered by her boyfriend, who called paramedics, explained to them that he felt as if she had taken a cocktail between drug and alcohol to take her life, and that she had expressed that to him on several occasions. I want to talk a little bit about mental health and how we are in this spiral period of COVID-19 where things that were your normal are not your normal anymore. And if there was an opportunity for you to kind of go over the edge, COVID-19 has basically sprouted any disparities within life. And that goes beyond just health, because we see that disparities between positive rates of COVID-19 with African Americans and healthcare is up. And now let's touch on mental health. What does that mean for African Americans dealing in COVID-19 and having mental health issues? I want to go to the only person that's on the panel that has a degree in this, and that's April, to get your 2 cents, and then everyone else can kind of chime in after that.
Okay. Like earlier, I was speaking about this, and I was saying that before COVID-19 will take anybody, the whole situation of us being home, not in our normal routine that we've done for over 20, 30 years, your normal routine, can take you from a level of, okay, I know what I'm doing, to I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Your home was your place where you might have, you know, relaxed and went retrieved from a lot of things that were going on in the world. And you're in your home, now you're working in your home. Like you don't have time to relax. It's taken a lot of the safety that we had maybe from our home, taking it away. So our home is just like being outside. When we were in Hurricane Andrew, we exhibited cabin fever. Everybody's having cabin fever now. Even if you are not in a place of mental distress, COVID brought it to you. Everybody witnessed some type of stress. Also, looking at the different things of the news broadcast of all these people are dying. These are the numbers of COVID cases. Then also adding on the Black Lives Matter topic of watching the death in the street, watching all of these things. It's traumatic. To keep watching it over, you're witnessing something traumatic daily. If you scroll up and down Instagram or Facebook, you're witnessing things that are traumatic daily. That is not good for your health, like mental health at all. We are more aware of tragic things since we're home because we can't escape it. It's on the TV, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook. Everybody's talking about it. That is something that you keep putting yourself into. That is not a normal situation. You would normally not keep putting yourself into a situation where you are traumatically affected. So that brings on a different layer of mental health that we have to be aware of. And everybody, you got to go outside, get some sun, detach from social media, look at something that has nothing to do with the issues that are going on. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's some days I can't take it anymore. I'm like, I can't watch that. I can't watch anything about COVID. I can't watch Trump. I can't watch Black Lives Matter. I can't do anything because it mentally is heavy and it weighs on me.
Roy, you did that talk with Kevin. Did he give you any type of solutions or touch on some of the solutions that he provided that was able to kind of pull him out of his failed suicide attempt?
Yeah, well, you know, first and foremost, he was on the Golden Gate Bridge. He was on the Golden Gate Bridge. And so, you know, he really was looking and searching for somebody to tell him not to do that day. But I think the thing that I got from Kevin's story was he had a normal routine. Just like, you know, April touched on, there's a routine that, you know, that he goes through every single day. And then what would happen was every night he would be affected. You know, the time when it hit night, when he'd get out of that routine from the time he would go to sleep to the time he wakes up, that's really where, you know, the cycle, he had to shift the cycle. So what he learned to do is get involved in, you know, sports, stay active in sports, have a regular routine.
Right.
You know, I think the other thing too, he really was trying to reach out to talk to people, you know, to see if somebody would talk to him. And then the other part that was what was a little bit disturbing was when he went to go jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, that was his 13th attempt. So there were several events that happened during that course that he had really tried, you know, because this guy was the life of the party. But what really kept him going was he had a normal routine. And I think the other thing too was he really, you know, took some time to really look in the mirror to figure out who he was. Because I think the thing that I've learned when I did my research on this story was, as Black folk, when you talk about mental health or depression, you know, we tend to look upon each other as if we're crazy. Oh, you're crazy and you're off, and you know, and I think that's the problem that as Black folk that we have. We don't talk enough to one another. And the numbers are very disturbing. I mean, you're talking about a very high percentage of depression and mental health is within the Black population.
Yeah.
We don't talk enough. We don't go to the hospital enough. You know, it's almost like being a student and like, hey, you got a tutor. Ooh, he or she is dumb because I got a tutor.
Yeah.
So we have to change the way we view ourselves, view our community, and how we communicate with one another. So those are the things that he used to help himself get through. He got off the medication first and foremost. They had him on meds heavily, which made him more depressed.
Yeah.
So I think April and Roy, I think you guys said some really great things. But one of the things that stood out to me the most is that you had to go outside for air. You had to have a routine. But where, and even as a parent, I'm speaking as a teacher who also had to work at home now. And now also as a parent who also has now a child that's going to be with you at home all day. At what point did we have time to come up with this routine? We didn't have time. Everything happened so fast. And so that was another thing where our kids are usually at school and not being privy to all of this information that's coming out on social media and on the news and TV and their friends talking. They were not privy to all of this information previously because they were in school. So if they found out about one thing or two things here and there, but most of the time for 8 hours of the day, they were in school. Well, now they're with you all day, so they're getting it 24/7.
Yeah.
They're getting it 24/7, and you can't really step outside for at least 8 hours because I'm still working, and they're in class, but not really in class because online, let's be honest, online education just was not it.
Okay,
and so
we're gonna have to, Jenny, we're gonna have to stop there.
Okay. That means can I say something? One thing?
Because we're out of time. That means next time we come back, we got to do distant learning. We got to talk about sports, the NFL trying to play the national anthem the Negro national anthem to appease Black people. It's so much more to talk about. So thank you for joining us. We'll come back with another live edition of My 2 Cents.
Good talk. 2 cents.
2 cents.
Yes.
Later.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip Rock Star Media and cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent by Jessica Garrett Motkins. All rights reserved 2020.